Welcome to Let's Talk Criterion, your exclusive channel reviewing and previewing new and forthcoming releases to the collection. In this edition, as we start the month of April, we'll be looking at the 1946 film directed by Charles Vidor, Gilda, coming to the collection on 4K UHD.
When they had the earthquake in San Francisco back in 1906, they said that old Mother Nature was up to her old trick. That's the story that went around, but here's the real lowdown. Put the blame.
Gilda is known for cinematographer Rudolf Matte's lush photography and glamorous settings. Costume designer Jean-Louis designed the wardrobe for Hollywood actress Rita Hayworth. She was cast in the titular role. The costumes were particularly effective in the dance numbers, Jack Cole's staging of Put the Blame on Me and Amado Mio, sung by Anita Ellis. Over the decades, Gilda has gained cult classic status, and in 2013 it was selected for preservation in the US National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically or aesthetically significant. Johnny Farrell, that's Glenn Ford, is a gambler who uses loaded dice and card-cutting, shuffling tricks to make his own luck and earn a dishonest living in Argentina. Early on, after an implausible winning streak at the blackjack table, he runs afoul of the casino's owner, shady tungsten magnate Balin Munson. With no shortage of nerve, Johnny convinces Munson to hire him to run the casino. Munson's trust of Johnny, though not misplaced, is perhaps the least believable aspect of the story in this film. Soon after Johnny makes himself indispensable at the casino, Munson surprises Johnny by introducing him to his brand new wife, the titular character Gilda. By brand new, of course, I mean the two met about a day before getting married. How could you not assume she's a gold digger, trading sex for access to Munson's fortune? And furthermore, it's obvious to the audience and to Munson right away that Gilda and Johnny have a past, though at first they deny knowing each other. So there you have the classic love triangle, and being a film noir, you know just how it will end. Rita Hayworth herself delivers one of the best performances of her career here, so it's no wonder why it became so iconic a film. She makes her character evolve in the same way the story does, and therefore reveals more and about herself, that's Gilda, in a well-calculated way. She doesn't rush things and doesn't switch from one emotion to another without justified reasons. We have to say Rita Hayworth was maybe the best seductress on screen, even more than Marilyn Monroe, and it also makes her the perfect femme fatale. However, the best femme fatale is a woman who seduces a guy and leads him to his loss. Most of the time, she doesn't even love him. Gilda, on the contrary, is in love with Johnny, and this seduction game is just a way to get his attention. 100% femme fatale examples would be Anna Moffat, Jane Green in Out of the Past, Kitty March, Joan Bennett in Scarlet Street, or Velma Valento, Claire Trevor in Murder My Sweet. At one point in the film, Gilda looks very desperate, and that's not really the case with the previously named noir femme fatales who are just as mean. Rita Hayworth also lived her ultimate glory in Gilda thanks to the scene where she sings Put the Blame on Me, a song composed for the film by Alan Roberts and Doris Fisher. Now in the scene, Rita Hayworth wears the unforgettable black dress and has a brilliant stage presence. However, for the particular scene, she was dubbed by Anita Ellis, but the songs previously heard in the film in a simpler scene where Gilda sings the song and plays acoustic guitar, and this time it's Rita Hayworth's own voice, which sounds lovely. Put the Blame on Me was classified number 84 in the top list of 100 years, 100 songs by the AFI. Now, Gilda was also very well filmed by the cinematographer Rudolf Matte, and this glorified Gilda, Rita Hayworth's beauty with some impeccable shots. It also gave the overall film a great noir signature, with a black and white cinematography faithful to the genre. It added mystery, tension and darkness to the story. And visually, my favourite moment in the film is when Balin runs away with the plane. Now, the contrast between the shadow of the men looking at him and the ocean enlightened by the moon is stunning. The film poster is also very noirish, simply for the contrast created by the cigarette smoke on the dark background. Gilda is ahead of its time in the sense that marriage is frequently presented in an undesirable fashion. Despite its monetary perks, it's a form of entrapment. Now, Gilda moves from one prison of matrimony to another, but it's only towards the latter stage of the film that she starts to feel the brutal weight of marital enclosure, and even the ending, which can be interpreted as a cop-out Hollywood conclusion, feels uncertain, rather sinister in fact. The black and white cinematography breeds a smokiness, eeriness, and makes whatever the future may hold for the characters appear to be bleak. There are even hints of nihilism in here. The characters do or say what they like, tending not to care about who they hurt in the process. And maybe they create their own luck here because they know that no one's watching over them, and their lives are without meaning. And the ending lacks any real semblance of conclusive fulfillment. Now, this is not to the film's detriment, of course. Gilda is at its best when it relishes in the emptiness. Gilda and Johnny make a horrible couple in the film, gaining enjoyment out of shaming and ridiculing each other. And I'm not convinced that the writing team wanted the viewer to root for them either. This is the very joy of film noir in its essence. Behind the glamour, beauty and seductiveness, there's weariness, manipulation and passionate loathing. Now, as far as film noirs go, Gilda has enough for any enthusiast of the genre to chew on here, but it also has the bonus of looking visually exquisite, even by today's standards. The shots are very intimate, and the lighting makes Hayworth look as radiant and heavenly as humanly possible here, an angel with devilish intentions. And furthermore, the actors shine. Macready is an enjoyable, even quite compelling villain. Ford is gloriously dry in his line delivery, yet he manages to be malicious when the story requires it. It goes without saying, though, that Hayworth steals the show from the men with her wit, charm and suggestive expressions, as well, of course, as her singing and dancing ability. Hayworth is lip-syncing in every musical sequence apart from the acoustic version I mentioned earlier of Put the Blame on Me, but she sings it with such sincerity and finesse that it makes you question why the studios even bothered to dub her in the first place. The poster reads, "There never was a woman like Gilda," and there really never was. Nor was there a woman like Rita Hayworth. Even the camera falls under the spell of her captivating aura. It is to Hayworth's credit here that she performs as well as she did, being a cripplingly shy person in real life. Gilda was developed by producer Virginia Van Oop as a vehicle for Hayworth, who had mostly been known for her roles in musical comedies at that time, and the story was originally set to be an American gangster film directed by Edmund Goulding. However, the location of the story was changed to Buenos Aires after objections from the censor Joseph Breen and the replacement of Goulding with Charles Vidor. Attesting to its immediate success, it was widely reported that an atomic bomb to be tested at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands would bear the film's title above an image of Hayworth, a reference to her bombshell status. The bomb was decorated with a photograph of Hayworth cut from the June 1946 issue of Esquire magazine, and above it was stenciled the device's nickname Gilda in 2-inch black letters. Now, this gesture was meant as a compliment. Hayworth was deeply offended, though. According to Orson Welles, her husband at the time, Hayworth believed it to be a publicity stunt from Columbia executive Harry Cohn, and she was furious. Now, the cast of Gilda features Rita Hayworth, of course, as Gilda Munson, Glenn Ford as Johnny Farrell, George Macready as Balin Munson, Joseph Calleja as Detective Maurizio Miguel Obregon, and Stephen Garay as Uncle Pio, amongst others. Gilda was already in the Criterion collection as a Blu-ray and DVD, and now gets a 4K digital restoration with an uncompressed mono soundtrack. The existing special features have been ported over to the 4K, and they're as follows. One 4K UHD disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR, and one Blu-ray with the film and these special features. Audio commentary by the film critic Richard Schickel. Interview with film noir historian Eddie Muller. Programme featuring the filmmakers Martin Scorsese and Baz Luhrmann discussing their appreciation for Gilda. The Odyssey of Rita Hayworth, that's a 1964 episode of the television show Hollywood and the Stars. A trailer and an essay written by critic Sheila O'Malley. And the cover art, of course, in black and white, is designed by Jessica Hish and Eric Skillman. With an ever-shifting battle of sexes set on a Buenos Aires casino glittering floor and its shadowy backrooms, Gilda is among the most sensual of all Hollywood noirs. The film has a running time of 110 minutes. It's of course in black and white with a 1:37:1 aspect ratio, and it joins the collection as a 4K Blu-ray combo on Tuesday the 7th of April in the US and on Monday the 27th of April in the UK with existing spine 795. Next time on Let's Talk Criterion, we'll be featuring Ernst Lubitsch's 1932 comedy Trouble in Paradise, getting its 4K upgrade in the collection. So until then, from me, as always, it's goodbye, and above all, good Criterion viewing.